guys, Zephine here, and just before we get into the video, there are a few things I need to say. The first being, if you hear anything weird in the background, like rumbling, it's because Thor is about to bring his hammer down on the town that I live in. So it's about to storm here. So any rumbling is more than likely thunder. The other thing that I wanted to say was I was originally going to put up a video today about my sides. About my morality, creativity, logic, and give a little bit more of an explanation about Zephina. However, I went in, I recorded the audio, I thought it was great, I went to edit it, and I realized that that video would have ended up being like an hour long at least. And it occurred to me that nobody probably wants to watch a video that long about my sides. At least I don't think you do. And there were so many mistakes that I just needed to go back and re-record the audio. So I'm going to do that, but for the time being, I'm making this video for you guys. So I guess this is sort of a coming out video, though I'm not certain I was ever in the closet to begin with. Yeah, it's a little bit of a weird situation on my part, and I'll get into that. So ever since I put the video up, The Importance of One's Voice, where I disclose that I am a cis female, I have been getting questions on all of my platforms, a lot, from a lot of people, asking if I'm into girls, if I'm into guys, if I don't care. Like, I've been getting a lot of questions about my sexuality. And, I mean, I'm pretty comfortable with myself, which is why I'm obviously okay making this video. So, to answer the question, am I into girls, am I into guys, does it matter to me? The answer is none of the above, because I am asexual aromantic. Now, for those of you who may not know what that means, and I doubt many of you are unaware of the definitions, I'm still gonna say them. So, the definition of asexual is to be without sexual feelings or associations. Essentially, an asexual doesn't experience and doesn't long for sexual attraction. That's pretty much what it is. The definition of aromantic is having no interest in or desire for romantic relationships. Now, I'll get back to aromantic in a second because I have quite a bit I want to say about that. But for asexual, I actually want to tell a little bit of a story, and it's funny. And that's how I figured out I was asexual. So, for the longest time, and we're talking until about a year and a half ago, I thought I was just straight. I really did. I thought I was straight. And then, my friend Jay, who I have mentioned before on this channel is the narrator for the Prank War story, came over and they were talking to me about what they had learned about something in the LGBT community. And they turned to me and they're like, I think you might be asexual. And I just kind of gave them this look and was like, what is that? Explain. I do not understand because, again, I was straight. I have plenty of friends in the LGBT community, and I always thought that I was the straight friend that just completed the group. But apparently not. So Jay proceeds to explain a little bit more about what asexuality is and not experiencing, like, sexual attraction and that kind of thing towards people and not really longing for it or anything, because I've never had an interest in dating. I've just never really cared. And so, as Jay is describing all of this to me, as they're going through the different points of it, I realize that I check every single box. Everything about it, I'm checking. I'm going, yep, that applies to me. Yep, that applies to me. Yep, that applies to me. Oh, crap, I'm not straight. So, yeah, that's actually a funny story. I didn't figure it out myself. My friend did. They figured it out and kind of brought it to my attention, and then I was just like, oh, okay, cool. Doesn't really bother me one way or the other, but it is what it is, I guess. Now, I want to talk a little bit more seriously about being aromantic. Quick interjection here from editor Zafina. I completely forgot to state that my sexuality has always been displayed through Zafina. Whether it be the older iteration of her or the newer one, it's been on full display. The colors of her shirt and her hair are based, yes, on Virgil, but the ace flag and the color of her eyes is based on the arrow flag. The arrow pride flag is green, white, gray, and black, and then the ace pride flag is purple, white, gray, and black. And so those two flags have always been on display through her colors, whether it be her eyes, hair, or shirt. And I just completely forgot to say that. So, yeah. Anyways, end of the interjection. Take it away, past Zafina. Now, I want to talk a little bit more seriously about being aromantic. And the reason I want to talk a little bit more about that and on a more serious note is because I feel like that one has more of an impact on my life. Whereas being asexual, I don't really run into that being an issue all that much. I do run into issues with being aromantic sometimes. Now, I'm not speaking for everyone who identifies as aromantic here. I am solely speaking for myself and what I have experienced being an aromantic. So let me start with this. Just because I'm aromantic doesn't mean that I can't appreciate a well laid out relationship and a story. I have my ships, I have my OTPs, and I think they're great. They make a cute couple. Awesome. But in my brain, that's fiction. It's just fiction to me. And that's not how my brain works when it comes to romantic relationships in real life. Actually, when it comes to real life for me, earlier I stated that I've never really had much of an interest in dating. And while that's true to some extent, there's more to it than that with me. I, for as long as I can remember, have had this response every time someone begins to flirt with me or tries to display that they have romantic inclination or outright says they would like to date me. This is my reaction. This is my internal reaction. No, 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 no. Okay. I stare blankly at them, and I'm internally screaming. Because for some reason, the idea of getting into a romantic relationship terrifies me. I don't want it. I do not want that kind of commitment. I just don't. I don't like the idea. I don't know. I just don't. And for some reason in me, that causes some kind of anxiety or something to kick in. And honest to God, nice people, whether they be guys, girls, non-binary, gender fluid, whoever, I've straight up ghosted. There are people who were so kind to me that I dropped. I have not spoken to in years because they began to fall for me. And it scared me. It honestly scared me. And so I thought that the best way to handle that situation was to just completely go ghost. Danny Phantom style. And just never speak to them again. Which sucks, because that wasn't the way to go. Yes, I could have short-term damaged the relationship I had with these people by telling them that, I wasn't interested. But instead, I chose to end my friendship with them completely by never speaking to them again. No idea at the time. I didn't even know aromantic was a thing. I didn't know asexual was a thing, let alone aromantic. And therefore, I didn't know how to explain it. And I really thought that I was just, as cliche as it sounds, I was weird. I was strange. I just thought that everybody around me wants to be in a relationship. Well, what's wrong with me? And eventually, after Jay told me I was asexual, well, didn't tell me that I was, but brought the idea to the forefront of my mind that I potentially could be, they then began talking a little bit about aromantic. And I began to think about that, and I realized that the title of aromantic fit me even better than asexual did. Both fit me, which is why I am aro-ace. I am both. And it was suddenly like a light bulb went off in my brain. I'm not weird. I'm not strange. This is just who I am. And I feel like that's important for me to say, and I feel like it's important for everyone to accept themselves. I feel like everyone should accept themselves, whether it be who they are, who they identify as, who they choose to love, if anyone. It's important for everyone to accept who they are. And that was something that I didn't realize I wasn't doing for a very, very long time. Because I just thought that, everybody else is into the dating scene and I couldn't care less. When in reality, that wasn't true. I did care. I just cared in a different way. It wasn't that I didn't care about dating. I didn't want to date. And there's a difference. And the older I get, because I just turned 20 in June, the older I get, the more I see my friends getting into serious relationships that could potentially be long-term and lead to marriage. And the more I see people trying to kind of have that kind of relationship with me. And that's not what I want. It's not. If I end up developing a relationship with anyone, my friends know this well about me. Whereas, yes, my actions could be interpreted as romantic, I never mean it that way because that's not the way I see it. It's strictly platonic for me. I believe the term for that is a squish. I think Jay told me that. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on that. But I think it's called a squish. When someone is in a really close platonic relationship with someone else, but it is just platonic. I think that's called a squish. Again, don't quote me on that. Do your own research before you decide who you want to be. Don't just take it from me. Again, this is my personal life, not how all aromantics feel. Not everyone who is aromantic feels the way that I do. There are actually multiple forms of being aromantic. There's cuplio-romantic, there's a bunch. I know there's a ton. I don't know them all. But once I kind of figured out that I was aro-ace, it started opening new doors in my life because once I realized that, I knew how to handle certain parts of my life and how to handle situations where when people would come up with kind of romantic inclination, sort of what to do. But even to this day, I still freeze up. I completely lock up, terrified if someone says they like me or they show any sign of wanting to be in a relationship with me. I just freeze. And it's because the truth is I don't know what to do. I don't want it, but at the same person, and it's because I don't know what to do. I don't want to be in a romantic relationship, but at the same time, I have such a hard time telling someone no in that regard because I don't want to crush them. I don't. And it sucks because it puts me in a very difficult position, and it puts the other person in a difficult position too, because the last thing I want to do is lead somebody on. But at the same time, the last thing I want to do for myself is stress myself out because I can't interpret whether or not someone is being platonic with me or whether there is a romantic undertone. It's hard for me to decipher that. And freaks me out. It really does. Now, for those of you who may at this point might be feeling some guilt because you asked me in the comments, are you into girls, are you into guys, or whatever, don't feel upset. Don't feel upset. That's part of the reason I'm making this video. That doesn't bother me. If you're just asking about my sexuality, that doesn't bother me at all. It's once that starts to be acted upon, once someone begins flirting with me or begins to show romantic inclination, that's when voice crack. That's when I freeze up. But if you just ask me, are you into girls, are you into guys, I'm probably just going to say no. That doesn't bother me. But anyways, guys, that is pretty much me in a nutshell. That's my sexuality. I am Aro Ace. And I hope that maybe somebody was able to learn something from me. I don't know. If not, I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about me. And, yeah. I hope you guys have a good one. And I hope you guys have better luck figuring out who you are earlier on in your life than I did. Let me rephrase that. And I hope you guys figure out earlier on in your life who you are and who you're meant to love than I did. Because like I said, I didn't figure it out till about a year and a half ago, so I was 18 or 19 years old when I figured it out. So hopefully you guys come to the conclusion quicker than I did. But whatever the case may be, what's important to take away from this is no matter who you are, no matter who you decide to love, no matter what any of that is, it is important that you accept yourself and surround yourself with people who accept you for who you are. Don't change for somebody else. Be yourself and be proud. Anyways, that's all for this video, guys. I hope to see you again soon. Zefina.